Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I hope you are having a great day so far. This is Tara with Tara's Tuesday Talk, and I am just delighted to have a moment with you, sip on our coffee or our tea. And today I wanted us to contemplate a little bit together the thought of putting ourselves in someone else's shoes. I actually have a story for you today, so hang in there. But before we jump in, I wanted to discuss a little bit about what it means to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, how that gives us a different perspective, how maybe sometimes it even changes our mind about a person or an opinion of our own. I know I've really tried to try harder about if I'm upset about a situation or something someone's done, to put myself in their shoes from their perspective. Because in all honesty, right, the majority of the time, whatever's happening isn't really like an attack or meant to cause distress between the parties. It's usually almost always a miscommunication and misunderstanding. And thankfully, as we mature, that's a good thing that comes with age, right? We start to realize not everybody's out to get me or even out to only satisfy themselves. Usually it's just miscommunication or different perspectives of what is right in certain situations. And so that's always a challenge, but it's definitely always worth the effort of looking through someone else's viewpoint when we're upset about something, or if we're going to take a different opinion, right? And so I know that's a great thing to have right now throughout all that's been going on this year, but I wanted us to, maybe challenge ourselves. And I think even there's such a sweet possibility, so much potential for ourselves to find contentment when we do that, because we can calm down. We can see the reality of something, even realizing, not even always learning the other person's perspective, but just the realization that there probably is a legit perspective behind that for them, and that if we could put ourselves in their shoes, it would change how we feel about the thing. So even just the realization of that usually can help us find a space of contentment and just be okay. It depends on the thing, right? And sometimes we need to dig a little deeper, find those out, but still knowing that there's another side, knowing that being in someone else's shoes changes things, will help us address the situation correctly. And so that's a little bit on a personal level, but on a level of our calling to minister and to lend a hand to the poor, I think also there's a benefit in putting ourselves in their shoes. So I wanted to share a story. A recent applicant to our family preservation program, I wanted to share a little bit of her story today with you, and so that can also kind of just help us get in the shoes of someone that we may be choosing to, through Identity Mission or other avenues, support at-risk families and single moms. And so getting in her shoes can look like just understanding her situation. And so when I heard this sweet mama, we'll call her Olivia. So when I heard her story, I was able definitely to connect on a mama heart level with her, and the desire to care well for your kids and make sure they have all that they need, with a working mama level, trying to balance being a good mom and working and house and all of these things. But when it came to her extreme level of poverty, her past of being in an abusive relationship and abandonment, definitely, that was beyond my reach. And when we met her, she had just lost her job, the only job she had had to care for her daughter at the time, was in a school cafeteria. And with the pandemic, schools closed and she was without work and 2 months away from having her next child, a little baby boy that she had at the end of May. And so that's when we got connected to Olivia and were able to actually drive her home from the hospital after having her son and make sure she had living accommodations and food. And so we've just been feeling that emergency need of food and living expenses right now, because due to the pandemic and obviously the recent birth of her son, she can't work. But it's so easy sometimes to connect with each other on these common areas, but in the other ones, it seems so difficult. So what do we do with that? How do we get ourselves in their shoes? And some of you may have a better answer, but I don't necessarily have the answer for that. I just know it's necessary. When we see poverty, when we see, she hasn't had to go beg on the street because we got connected to her so quickly and able to provide for her emergency needs, but that might have been the next level for her, begging on the street. And so we see the mamas with their new babies on the street, and we're just like, oh, how could they do that? How could they, make their child suffer out there in the heat trying to get measly lempiras, which is, I don't even know, 3 cents or something. And so, sometimes we're quick to make I don't want to say a judgment. We wouldn't necessarily call it that, but we're quick to be like, oh, why is she out there with her kid? Begging, instead of trying to be like, what put her there? What broke her to that point that she had to do that, because knowing she didn't want to. And so I think that helps a lot when we look at needs and we look for areas that we are going to invest our hard-earned earnings, where we're going to choose to donate and answer the call that the Lord gives us to care for those in poverty. And I think just knowing the story behind the gift is usually super beneficial. And so I wanted to share Olivia's story with you, and it is, exactly what our August campaign is about right now. We are getting calls left and right for families. Thankfully, we have that relationship with the welfare office, and they're calling us and saying, hey, if you don't go help this family, their kids are going to start starving, and we're going to have to take them and put them into care. And so thankfully we have that connection. We're getting the calls. We're able to step in. The cost monthly to help Olivia right now is just $160 to care for her and her 2 kids, their cost of living. It's much more than she normally would even need from us, but because she can't work right now, it's what we're going to be able to do, or need to be able to do, probably throughout the rest of this year. And then we'll work on a life plan with her and help her get work and make sure the kids have good care while she's at work, and all of those good things. And so just please know that your donations during this campaign, August campaign specifically, but always your donations to Identity Mission, go to families like this. They want to care for their kids. They just fell in hard times, and simply as low as $160 a month for not even, it's a year to 2 years, sometimes shorter. In this case, it's going to be about 5 months. Keep a family together, keep them from the despair and hopelessness that would be otherwise. And so I just really wanted to share those thoughts with you today. Encourage you, if you don't mind, get on identitymission.org, any of our Identity Mission Facebook, Instagram pages. There's a link right there to give directly towards this August campaign to help families just like Olivia's. And if you want to make that commitment monthly, that would be amazing, because then we know we can say yes to more families for the longer haul, until we know that they're stable economically, which takes about 1 to 2 years. And so that partnership is, beyond words. It's astounding. It's amazing. It's what allows us, Identity Mission, to do what they do. And so thank you guys. Thanks for listening. Please put any comments that you have, any questions, or just email me directly. Tara@identitymission.org. Would love to talk to you about these things and the families that we serve and the kids. So have a great day.